Hey, welcome back to Gold Scratch. So in this video, I guarantee you, we're going to show you something that you've never seen before. I've never seen it before. Bill Little's never seen it before. Daryl Waters never seen it before. Put us together, over 100 years of experience. And at the end of the first part of this video, we're dumbfounded. We don't know what to do. And you know, one of the major messages is, when everything goes good, the first two 383 videos, we fired it up, it ran good, made good numbers, and went for lunch. Well, this time it didn't. It took us 6 days to finish this job and get good results. Stick with us and you'll find out what the result was. Hey, we're back at Dyno Run's dyno again today. So what's better than a 383 on the dyno being tuned by two tuning experts, Daryl Waters and Bill Little? How about three 383s? So this is the third of fourth video. In the previous two we had Don Parker's and Rick Atchison's. And one of the things I love is father and son teams. So last week we had a father built the engine with his son, and now we got son building his father's engine. So father and son team. So Trent and dad is Wayne and Uncle Jerry, right?
Yes.
And everybody knows Daryl Waters. He's an icon already, so we're good there. So this is the third. There's one more coming, and that's going to be Pat's from Cutter's Performance. If you don't watch Pat Cutter's Performance video channel, it's a pretty cool channel. There's lots of good stuff, and he's bringing his engine, his 383 here next. We will have a spreadsheet filling in. I showed it in the last two videos with all the numbers. And when we collect numbers on this one, I'll fill in, I'll populate the cells with the information we get. So Bill built the engine. Let's start with him and tell you what it's about. Just make a quick introduction. One of the ideas of this was the concept of comparing a Speedmaster head to an American manufactured head. That was one of the points.
Yep.
And Bill's done some work on the heads too. We need to point that out, talk about that too, Bill. Okay, it's all yours.
Okay, 383, I did not buy a rotating assembly. I bought all the parts separately. Scat crank, scat rods, seal power pistons, and it's internally balanced because Trent already had a flywheel and a balancer off his 350. There was no sense spending any more money there. So the engine has about 10.2 to 1 compression. The heads are Speedmaster, the intake Speedmaster. The heads only flowed 236 at 500 thou before I did work on them. And after a nice radius valve job and cleaned the chamber up, they were 284 at 600 lift. So they came up quite a bit. The heads probably wouldn't have made near the power if I hadn't done the valve job on it.
So that's a good point, Bill, because the idea is Speedmaster heads versus Dart heads.
Yes.
Well, if you took them the way they came, it'd be a different result, right? That's
Yeah,
kind of
so
your point,
Speedmaster heads probably, I don't know how much they are, but probably $1,800 for the pair. Trent spent $1,200 for me to fix the heads up. So you add the 1,800 to the 1,200, all of a sudden you've got
Could have bought AFR heads or something, right?
7/8 of the way there for a set of AFR heads. So don't skimp out on the cylinder heads. These heads are, the short turn is ported like we used to do the 300 horse heads. They do not have a big radius on the short turn. These heads were down 20 to 30 CFM at 3 and 400 compared to the Dart, and you're not going to get that back. They've taken too much material out of there. So the 3 and 400 numbers are really important. What else? The headers, are these 1 3/4 headers or 1 5? Yes. They're 1 3/4. I think they were blackjack headers. I think at one time. Yeah. They used to be aluma coated at one time probably. They have a square flange instead of a 3-bolt flange on them. What else? 650 Holly carburetor that I rebuilt. It's got the stock jets like Holly built it.
And the cam, Bill, which is the same cam.
The cam is a
Don
hydraulic.
Parker's cam was the same cam.
Yep,
That was kind of the idea of this.
Comp cams, hydraulic roller, 230, 236 at 50 thou, 510, 520 lift, 1.6 rockers on this one also.
Okay, so Trent's car, Trent's engine. Talk about your car a little bit for us. I will put a picture, of course, screenshot picture of Trent's 1970 Nova.
Yeah.
So
Dad purchased a car, 25 years ago? And then I purchased it from him about 5 years ago. And then we just thought we'd freshen it up a little bit. So, yeah, it's just been a long process. Finally getting here, but I'm excited.
And it's a 4-speed car.
And it's a 4-speed car, yeah.
It still has the original Muncie in it?
It does, yep. 4-speed, numbers matching block.
it's an 010 block. I'm looking at it right here.
It is an 010 block, yeah. How much gear do you have in that?
It's the 411.
411.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Got lots of gear in it, yeah.
So,
That'll be fun then.
yeah, it should be a fun street car.
Yeah, you're going to be flying.
Yeah.
I love father and son teams, so this is kind of the other way around. This is son and father this time, right? Sort of thing. So, Daryl, what do you got?
I'm looking forward to see what kind of power it makes, because like you said, we've been doing the 383 shootout kind of deal. And
You're getting all your 383s down pat. You had enough.
yeah,
of them.
yeah,
That's
pretty
good.
good. Pretty getting easy to put these on now. Just get a lot of them in a row.
Let's get to work and see what happens. Here's what we had going on during the dyno session. As you can see, this is the horsepower and torque chart. So the blue line, of course, is the power line, and that line should extend over here, starts at about 5,000 RPM. And of course, when torque falls off, power falls off. So the torque is what actually starts to fall, and the power goes with it. And so the torque line also should be going like this. So in the interim here, from about 5,000 to about 5,500 RPM is what we're referring to as an anomaly, because we don't know what it is yet. We changed jetting and timing already, and pull in between, taking progressive steps. Next, there's a suspicion that maybe these headers are over scavenging, so we're going to go to the sprint car headers and see if that solves it.
Still did it.
I think it was still there. Looks like it's worse.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to close off the video today because Alec and I have to go. We have somewhere else we have to be. And these guys are not quite done yet. They've been thrashing on this thing. I'm going to let Bill and Daryl talk about it. I want to make a couple quick points. This is the third 383. The fourth one is coming up in a couple weeks when we get Pat right here from Cutter's Performance. But I call it a dyno shootout, but it's not a competition. We didn't go to these guys and say how much power can you make on the dyno. There are 4 different engines built for 4 different applications. specifically, and they were made before I even had the idea, or Alec had the idea of doing this, I guess. So that's one point. I'll let Bill take it from there, basically. So.
Okay, so we did a timing, 2 or 3 timing adjustments. We ended up at 39 degrees. We did some carburetor adjustments, put them back to the stock jetting that was in the 650 from Holly. We have a dip between 51 and 55, and we lose like 20 horsepower, 25 horsepower. Then it comes back at the top end, like at 6,000 it's fine. The airflow increases properly. There's no, we couldn't figure it out, so we did a 100 RPM step so that we could see what's going on, and it's actually misfiring between 51 and 54, and then it comes back again.
Yeah, we didn't find it before though.
We didn't find it before because
it was accelerating through it quickly, so we didn't hear the misfire.
At 300 RPM a second.
So we went up to 600 to
hear
try it and see if it would make a difference, and it was exactly the same. It does it in the same spot every dyno run.
And the airflow that the engine's using, it picks up a lot during that RPM. And that doesn't make any sense.
Just on the exhaust, on the over scavenging.
On the scavenging, it's actually over scavenging. It's just using way too much fuel at that point, or too much air at that point. So where's the air going? If it was a valve float problem, intake valve float, you wouldn't keep on gaining airflow in the intake.
The engine wouldn't recover. It would just
the engine,
fall right off.
I mean, you would certainly, like, that would be serious. You would hear that. It would be popping and carrying on.
At wide open throttle, the CFM goes through its range and doesn't drop out, doesn't increase or anything. The wide open manifold vacuum, same thing. It increases through the whole RPM range with no problems. But the brake specific air consumption, that's what we use to watch for scavenging. In that area where it misfires, the brake specific air consumption goes up, which shows an over scavenging effect. So we changed headers to think maybe the headers were causing that, and that didn't change anything. Put a spacer in it. You put a 1-inch 4-hole spacer
4-hole
in there.
didn't change anything.
So we know it's not an intake system issue. It's not an exhaust system issue. So we're leaning more towards maybe an ignition system.
It has Pertronics kit in it. We're running the MSD off of it. It could be some kind of anomaly in the pickup system in the distributor. We just don't know at this point, do we?
And it's weird because usually anything in an ignition system, once it breaks down, it doesn't recover. Usually it'll just carry on falling off, and this one picks back up.
Trent's been using this distributor for a long time, eh?
A very long time.
Very long time. So it's possible that he's had this problem through 2 or 3 engines, possibly.
Right.
And you wouldn't feel that in the car because it's a 4-speed car and it's got 411 gears, so it'd accelerate through that when he's driving it, so he probably wouldn't even feel it or hear it or anything. But we didn't hear it either until we did the 100 RPM per second run, and it increases it slow enough that when it got into that range where it was dropping off, we heard a misfire. So that's kind of where we're thinking maybe an ignition system. But our issue is right now, it's got an old style distributor in it, and we don't have spark plugs to put my HEI dyno distributor in, so we haven't got wires. We haven't got any wires to put on that, so we're kind of at a standstill now.
I kind of wonder if it's not a module problem and it's losing its dwell and taking timing away, or adding timing that it shouldn't, just for that.
We can't see that.
That's a problem, So Trent might end up having to put another distributor in there, because that's the only thing that we can think of. So
he might be able to find it doing like a top gear roll-on, start up at 3,500 RPM in 4th gear, and then rug it and take it all the way up through, and that would accelerate it fairly slow, and you might be able to feel the misfire if it's still there or not once you change the distributor.
It's also about the only thing you haven't done already, right?
No, exactly.
There's really, other than ignition, what's left? We've done everything else.
Yeah, that's all
made significant changes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Went from those street headers to the sprint car headers, and spacer, all that stuff that you did. So
we had talked about changing the carburetor too, but I mean, with the airflow numbers not changing, the fuel numbers aren't changing, and the vacuum at wide open throttle doesn't change, we don't think it's an induction issue.
But we've seen ignition timing change scavenging on a lot of engines, right?
Yes.
Like
Oh, yeah,
just
for sure
a
it
couple
does.
degrees, like
Yep.
2 or 3 degrees. So
Yeah, we've had engines that over scavenge and we add timing to it, and the scavenging goes away because when the event starts, like you said,
starts earlier, and everything ends earlier, right?
Yeah.
So if it's taken 10 or 12 degrees, maybe 15 degrees timing out of it or something, that's going to throw all that
sure.
out really bad, you know?
Yeah, for sure it would.
So I think
we've got a pretty good idea what it is. We just don't have any way of testing it today.
and we can't leave it on the dyno because Trent needs to take it home and put it in the car tomorrow, right?
And I got more engines coming, so.
And we got to go, so we're going to leave these guys to their devices. If anybody is going to figure this out, you guys are going to figure it out.
Oh.
And once again, that's good. The point, if you didn't dyno, you'd
wouldn't know that.
never even
Yeah.
know there was an issue, right? So that's one of the values. And
Okay, all right. Now, don't forget, like and subscribe.
Thank you.
Okay, please.
Yeah. Like and subscribe so we can keep doing this. So
Yes.
You guys can learn stuff.
Lots of interest in the 383s. This is the third or fourth, and looking for your comments. Anybody's got suggestions based on this discussion about the anomaly? I will put a screenshot of the dyno sheets in the video, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about.
Yep.
It's very, very visible on the
yeah.
screenshot or in the dyno report on the graph. So I'll put that there. So
I think that last run we made 485 and 460 horsepower, I think.
it's making good numbers.
It's making
right?
good numbers, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with.
There's nothing wrong with the torque or the
Once again.
horsepower. It's just we
With
need to get rid of that dip.
Okay, we're back in the dyno cell. This is actually a few days later.
Okay, I was out here today, and I changed valve springs on the engine. My thought was it's got to be a frequency thing. The spring is not actually floating, but it's reached a frequency where it's not touching the retainer or the seat. If you look at some of the packed videos on the Spintron, you can see that happen. So I would suggest look that up because that's very interesting. So I had a 1.460 comp cams spring on it with a damper, 145 pound seat pressure, 380 open. I went with a 1.265 spring, same seat pressure, same open pressure, but the spring's a smaller diameter, and the smaller the spring diameter, the higher the frequency that it will get excited. So that's my theory, that I think that's what's happened. I sure hope it does. We're going to make a pull here in a few minutes and see what happens there. So, right, Daryl?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything, Dale? You ready to go?
I want to see what it's going to do.
Okay, me too.
I'm
Let's
excited.
rock.
This has been bugging all of us for
Let's see
All
what
week.
days,
It's
so.
been bugging me all week.
I want to get a look at the screen. So if you notice in the previous shots, you could see the horsepower and torque needle when it gets up to 5,000 actually going backwards for a little while. And now let's see what happens.
Well, I think that's fixed it, Daryl.
Yeah, carried the power all the way through.
Look at that. There's no dip. Let's look at the graph.
Oh, look at that graph.
That's a lot better.
Yeah, there's no big whoop in here like there was
No,
before.
I'll put a screenshot of the two graphs.
I can show you one right now.
Beside each other.
That's what it looked like before.
There's the other graph. That's what happens.
That's pretty interesting.
Wow, that's cool.
Woohoo! Good job, Bill.
So
why I call it
Thank
different.
goodness, because I didn't have any other ideas. What's
I
the torque and the horsepower on that?
Let's have a look. 483 foot-pounds of torque peak. And I think we're 453 for horsepower.
Oh, that's decent.
Yeah.
These motors are pretty close together, eh?
Yeah, they are. They are
Very,
really
very
close. Yes.
Very good, guys. So we'll wrap her up here in a minute.
So I guess that's a good lesson that just because you think that a spring is going to do the job, it might not.
Yeah.
You know.
A bigger spring isn't necessarily a better.
No, it's
solution
not.
either.
It's not. Our super stock stuff used to be 1.650 triple spring, and we used to run about 380, 390, 400 pounds on the seat and 1,000, 1,200 open. And we've gone to a 1.5 inch dual spring, a pack spring that's the same seat pressure, same open pressure, and they've been working great. But it's the mass on top of the spring is a lot smaller. That's why a beehive spring works so good, because there's no retainer to push down on the spring to collapse it. So there's a lot to springs.
Well, one of the things, the bigger the spring is, the more of its own mass that has to control, right?
It has to control its own mass
its own
too.
mass
Yeah,
creates the problem, basically,
the
right?
The top of the spring is going to collapse on the bottom, right?
Yeah. What's interesting though is you've had that same valve train on a previous engine. And
Yes,
it worked fine
but
on that.
it had lighter valves.
Oh, did it?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
see, I
AF.
didn't know that.
No, they have lighter valves.
Oh, that'll
Well,
be.
Trent, you feeling better, Trent?
Oh, it's good. It's good to see you. Yes. Some sleepless nights.
Like
for
some
sure.
expectant father sitting here. So
Yeah.
my mother had a saying, "All's well that ends well."
There
right?
you go.
So we got a good result. So
Yeah. Well, we're
It's
happy
not-
now.
Yep.